experiencing menopausal symptoms is pushing highly skilled and experienced women out of work, a cross-party group of MPs has warned. The Women and Equalities Committee has called on the government to act by making menopause a protected characteristic under the law and include a duty for employers to provide reasonable adjustments for women. The committee wants greater rights and protections in the workplace, with calls to tackle what it calls stigma, shame and dismissive cultures. Their report found with most women going through the menopause between 45 and 55, around 4.5 million women aged between 50 and 64 are currently employed. They say that women with at least one problematic menopausal symptom are 43% more likely to leave their jobs by the age of 55, and that few women ask for adjustments like flexible working, with many saying they're worried about the reaction from their employer. Well, joining me now is Fiona McKay, a menopause career coach and founder of the Menopause Maze, which supports women in business to navigate the menopause. Thanks for joining us. There's been a lot of publicity around trying to help women, to try and help public awareness around the menopause, but being protected in your job if you're suffering those symptoms is a real concern, isn't it? Do you think there needs to be a law change?
I do, and after childbirth, menopause is the second most career limiting issue for women, and there's already provision in the Equality Act to protect women after pregnancy and through their maternity status, and I think it's only right and proper and required that that same provision is included for women in menopause too.
And what would that actually mean for employers?
Well, it would mean that they would have to take menopause much more seriously, first and foremost, and that there would be consequences for them if they treat women less favourably. And you talked about reasonable adjustments. Reasonable adjustments is just one of the things that they would be expected and required to do. And if women are not treated equally and are treated less favourably because of their menopause, and they are subsequently dismissed or overlooked for promotion, there will be recourse for women and legal protection. I think that's absolutely right.
What all are the sort of problems that women face in this particular phase of life that affects their work in particular?
Well, anxiety is one of them, loss of confidence is another, brain fog, really doubting yourself, hot flashes, changes in mood, not sleeping, and of course if you're not sleeping you can't perform to your best ability often, and it's a real catch-22 situation. But there are so many different symptoms of menopause and it affects women in so many different ways that it's not just the one size fits all. And we see hot flashes, you know, really put front and centre, that it's one of the main symptoms, and it is one of the main symptoms, but the symptoms are very different for women, and that needs to be understood and accommodated as well.
I mean, I kind of wonder whether the reason why we've heard so much more of it is that there are probably a lot more women in the workforce globally now who are, you know, going through these changes, but they're at a senior level and therefore want to talk about it. But at the same time, people will feel vulnerable, won't they, raising any concerns with their boss, whether you're working for a small company or a big company, because regardless of what the law might say in future, people will feel vulnerable.
Well, you will feel vulnerable, and you talk there about high-performing women. I mean, let's take the example of, say, a female CEO who's leading a very successful high-growth company or a public-listed company. If she came out and said, actually, I'm feeling a little vulnerable, I'm not perhaps feeling as sharp as what I did, my symptoms are quite strong and are affecting me, that's going to have impact across shareholders, across the city, confidence, and therefore there needs to be a whole root and branch review of how we actually understand, educate workplaces and support women in this time of transition.
And just to flip the argument, if I was employing people and they said, well, they didn't think they would be able to perform as well as they used to, and this phase might go on for a few years, would I not be justified in being concerned about that? So especially if you're a small company, you can't afford to, you know, prop people up, can you?
And it is a challenge because we are talking about capability here, but fundamentally, if you've employed somebody and their talent is really valuable for your business, keeping that talent and retaining it through the whole of the career life cycle is really important. And we tend to think that the adjustments needed are going to be huge. Sometimes it's it's amended working hours, it's much more open conversations, it's being part of a community of other women, whether that be inside of your workplace or externally, that can really help you understand, navigate, give you best practice. And also as well, employers would do well to really think about getting better healthcare, particularly private healthcare for their staff, so they can access support services much earlier and therefore able to really produce and be productive and participate in the workforce fully.
Fiona McKay from the Menopause Maze, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.